Hello, this is Galactic, and this is gonna be a quick little tutorial for Galaxy Generator Flutter. This trick is pretty big because it saves like 1 minute or so overtaking the intended way, but it has a lot of pitfalls and is pretty scary being at the very end of the run. But if you know what you're doing and with some practice, it can definitely be managed. So before trying this trick, I'm assuming you're already decent at infinite flutters. Like, if you can do Yoshi Star 2 flutter pretty consistently, then I at least recommend maybe messing around with this for a bit. But you don't have to go for it right away because it's a scary trick and all. But yeah, first I'll explain what I'm doing with just commentary over a video with input display. So, when we're landing on this planet, you can make your way to Yoshi however you want. The fastest way is just to do a long jump there and do a cloud boosted long jump to get the Yoshi if you kept a cloud during the cloud section. You don't have to do that, but it saves a bit of time, so if you can, you can do that. So here, when you land on Yoshi first, we're going to be holding up right to set up a side flip. So that just means hold up right, switch to down left, and jump to do a side flip. And then I'm letting go of the control stick and holding up. And now we're gonna start our first flutter. So just flutter up to this wall that I'm pointing at with the mouse. So now we get up here. If you're just starting out, you can just keep fluttering up and land like somewhere around here. If you want to go a tiny bit faster, what you can do is make your flutters have a little bit less height and just like flutter against this wall. The reason you want to do that is because fluttering forward is faster than walking on this wall, and we want to get to the edge of this wall. So you're gonna see me flutter against the wall for a tiny bit, and I land pretty close to the edge. Then I just walk the rest of the way, turn right, and now I'll explain what we're trying to do before I actually do it, just so you know what's about to happen. So we want to land all the way over here where I'm pointing with the mouse right now. And essentially, what you're going to do, we're going to flutter with Yoshi, trying to get a tiny bit to the left, then be somewhere to the left of this tower maybe being, a little above this tower top, like maybe somewhere around here. And we're going to dismount Yoshi just before the 10-second timer of Yoshi's speed disappears, and we're gonna keep the momentum from Mario falling and fall down on this platform. So, how is that gonna happen? Well, press A to jump, obviously, and then I don't extend the jump fully. I just get a little bit of height, and then I shake. And then you're gonna see that the angle I end up holding is somewhere in between up and up left. That's just what I prefer. You can mess around with the angles a lot, because basically just where we want to get is to the left of this tower, and then use the leftward momentum to end up in the center here. So we just want to start going a little bit left, so which is why I'm holding this angle that's only slightly above up. But you can also adjust your angle a little bit mid-air. You're gonna see that I'm doing it. As you see, I start holding a bit further left here. It's just kind of a feeling thing. It's something you just get used to over time. It's not that precise of exactly which angle you hold. Just mess around with it and see what works for you, honestly. So when we're doing these flutters, we're actually doing pretty short ones. Don't extend fully all the way to the top because you don't need that much height. You don't want that much height. If you're too high up, actually, you'll catch the gravity of a different planet and you'll end up soft locking. I'll show what that looks like later, by the way, just so you know what height to avoid exactly. It shouldn't be an issue if just do short flutters. You won't be anywhere close to it, so don't be too scared of it. So yeah, I'm doing pretty short flutters since we don't need that much height. And you see the camera's pretty weird here, but there's 3 towers here. They're all lined up with each other, so it's good that we're getting a bit past this tower. As you see, I'm barely to the left, and now we get a camera change. So now we're here, and we can see that our angle's pretty good, so I can just basically keep holding this angle when I'm dismounting, and we should be good. If I were a bit further this way to the right, then maybe you want to start holding a bit further to the uplift notch when you're dismounting. Just like an adjustment you can make in midair if you end up in different spots. And make sure to dismount like slightly before passing this pillar, because if you dismount too late, you just lose all your speed and you're pretty much just instantly dead. So yeah, as you see here, I'm pretty much in line with this tower. And I dismount. This is gonna work. Maybe slightly before is a bit too early, but again, mess around with the timing and see what works for you. As you can see, I was basically like in line with the tower here when I dismount, and then just keep holding this angle between the up and the uplift notch. You're also gonna see me mashing A here, and you saw that I got a frame perfect jump when I landed, and that's just essentially a tiny time save, because when you're in that falling, when you're landing, you get that landing animation, and you just kind of if you get an FPJ, it's just a tiny time save. This is a nice thing to do. Next, I'm just quickly going to show off a faster version of this flutter called Top Shelf. Essentially, we're going to land on that platform on the top over there instead of the bottom. It's not that different from the bottom shelf setup, it's just more risky, because if you remember what I said about the potential soft lock, if you're like too far up here, we gotta dismount from pretty far up to do this, so if you're too far up, you just soft lock, and that's not very nice. But yeah, essentially the one difference is I'm doing longer flutters here and gaining more height. And otherwise it's basically the same. You see I'm slightly to the left of this tower, but I'm way higher up now. If you end up coming here and like, oh, I'm way too far up, what you can do is just like start doing a couple of shorter flutters, like basically adjust your height by your flutter length. Like you can do really short ones, which would like make you basically lose height rather than gain height. And as you see, my visual cue for like how high up to be is like just ever so slightly above the peak of this tower. Like this thing that stretches out from the peak of the tower, be slightly above it, and then dismount from there. See, now I'm exactly to the right of it, and I'm a little bit above the top of this tower. If you go like, if I were to go like up here maybe, then I would enter the gravity of the cloud planet, and that would cause me to soft lock. And that's why Top Shelf is kind of difficult. And then you just dismount there. You saw that I dismounted a little bit. I even dropped a little height here. You don't need to be that far above the tower top to make it. And then, yeah, again, I'm gonna start mashing A to try to get an FPJ, which I don't get in this clip, but that's fine. You really don't need it. But yeah, that's Top Shelf essentially. Now I'm gonna show off some common mistakes and how you go about to avoid them. The first one is gonna look something like this. So I end up getting caught in this sideways gravity right here. And that's basically gonna ruin our whole flutter. To back that up, if that were to happen, I'm just gonna dismount Yoshi over here, enter that sling star, grab the new Yoshi, side flip, shake, start a flutter, and make sure to gain some height to avoid the splarg. You're gonna grab this flower and essentially do continental flutter, which is gonna look something like this. And then we end up here. And yeah, that's pretty much how you back that up if that were to happen. Okay, so why are you catching into this gravity? A common reason could be that you're just doing this flutter and you end up holding the uplift notch. And that just ends you up over here. One thing that I would also like to point out is you can see that I usually like to stand on the right side of this tower, of this platform, when you're starting the flutter. A lot of people stand on the left side. The reason I stand on the right side is so the chance of me catching this gravity is lower. You'll notice that, you know, the gravity is a bit to the left, which is why I like doing that. But you can still manage it if you're over here. The main thing to keep in mind is, well, one, don't go too far left. If you're here, just don't go too far left and then you're fine. But another way you can prevent this is just by using height. Like I can stand all the way over here and still avoid it with some height. So if I just were to fully extend my flutter and do that, you can see that I got past it. Now, yeah, I don't really like this setup. As you see, we ended up pretty far left, but yeah, it still works. It still works to stand on the left side. Another thing that could happen here is if you're too high up when you're starting to flutter here, I'll show. Let's say I do a double jump for some reason and spin. I end up getting caught by this gravity, and this is the soft lock gravity. So you want to make sure to not be going too high when you're starting to flutter. That's why it can be nice to drop a little. I'll show what happens when you soft lock. Here I just died, but a lot of time if you were to dismount Yoshi and just ground pound, you just soft lock. Okay, now I'm gonna show off like how high it can go without soft locking the top shelf. I'm not sure whether this will soft lock or not, since I usually wouldn't go this high, but it's just like a demonstration to show how high it can go without soft locking. As you can see, I was quite a bit higher there than I usually am, and see, I still easily made it. So if you're just like doing the setup about what I'm doing, you don't really have anything to worry about. Now I'm going to show off what it looks like if you end up soft locking when going for top shelf. There we go. See how insanely high I had to go for that even to be possible? The one thing to keep in mind if you're having issues with soft locking is I like to like drop down a tiny bit with Yoshi after doing my last flutter before dismounting. You can do that to adjust your height if you feel like you're a bit too high. Because remember, getting bottom shelf is still better than soft locking, so if you feel like you're too high, just play it safe, drop down a tiny bit, do your last flutter a bit early, drop down, dismount, and this should never happen. Next, I'm going to show off an alternative flutter called Continental Flutter. It is used optimally in 242 runs since you need the Continental to progress there. It can also be used in any percent if you think the flutter I showed off earlier is too difficult, but it loses about 10 seconds, but that's honestly not that bad if you're too scared of doing the flutter I just showed off. So what you're just gonna do here is you're gonna line up on the left side of this edge instead of the right side. And then we're gonna do a jump and a shake again, but this time we're just gonna be holding up left. And then we let Yoshi flutter for a little bit right here. I see, so I just hold on A to let Yoshi flutter. Now instead of infinite fluttering, just drop down and keep holding up left. Then occasionally, like every second or so, I just do a quick flutter to keep some height. The reason I want to keep some height is because there's one of these fire enemies, I believe they're called blargs, that spawn, and if you're too low, you'll end up get hit by them and falling off Yoshi, and then you're kind of screwed. So you want to go above the blarg. As you see, I have way more height, so I don't even activate the blarg. That was somewhere, let's see. The blarg should spawn like somewhere around this area maybe, and we just completely skip it because we're so far above it. Then if you're doing it any percent, just grab this flower, but now I'm demonstrating how to get it with the Continental. So we grab this one, get the Continental, and then, you know, after being flung off to the left side, we grab this flower. Now here is where the tricky part comes for this flutter. So again, I'm holding an angle in between the up and the up left notch. And then I'm going to start fluttering. As you can see, I start holding a bit further to the left. This is because, well, there's again a blarg here. And you want to avoid it by going to the left of it. And adjusting your angle a little bit more to the left is going to help you avoid this guy. If you're too close to him, you end up hitting him and dying. So that's not very nice. You're just going to want to, you can kind of go through him a little as well. But yeah, mess around with that a little bit in practice so you know how close you can go. But even if you like end up being way further off than I'm in this clip, you can just kind of, you can usually still make it to the platform here. As you see the camera switch, I did it very precisely, so I'm pretty close to the center, but sometimes you might like be out here, land on the edge. Sometimes maybe all the way even out here. If that happens, just do a couple of forward flutters with Yoshi. It's not a big deal. And what you can also do once you're here, if you end up being like far out here, just hold straight up when you get over here instead of to the left, which is gonna make you go less to the left. But since I'm pretty far in the center here, I just keep holding up left. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for Continental Flutter. Thank you for watching this tutorial. If you have any questions, you can post them in the comments and I'll try to get back to them as soon as I can. If not, you can also join the Super Mario Galaxy Speedrunning Discord and ask away. I'll link that in the description.